Blackpool Pleasure Beach is not only the most ride-intensive park in the UK, but is one of the nation's most beloved parks. Based on its historical engineering and impressive layout, many love exploring the hidden details of old rides and marvelling at their traditional effects, but not too many know of how the park came to be the wonder it is today. Opening years, 1896 to 1930. The park was founded in 1896 by the alderman William George Bean, and after returning to England in 1897, preceding a failed marketing career in New York, he opened two amusement parks, one in Great Yarmouth and the other in Blackpool. The Yarmouth Park didn't generate enough attention, so he transferred his focus to the Pleasure Beach. In 1903, he and his business partner, John Althwaite, purchased 30 acres of land known as the Watson Estate, hence the road name of Watson Tunnel, and will be used to extend the park from what is believed to have been originally 16 to 12 acres. The original park had been built on sand dunes, featuring stalls, roundabouts and a bicycle railway which was built in 1896, but the pair wanted to make something bigger after having visited Coney Island. As a result, Bean wished to create an American-style park featuring a Western theme, and so added a few sideshows and rides. He took inspiration from a fairground in Earl's Court, London, as his aim was to create a fun amusement park that makes adults feel like children again and inspire gaiety of a primarily innocent character. The first notable ride to be established was Sir Hiram Maxim's Captain Fly Machines, which was invented by the inventor in 1904 after quitting his dream of making a helicopter. Although the original design was meant to have guests control their flight using aerofoil, this proved too dangerous. The ride debuted at the Earl's Court exhibition in 1904, the year it opened at the park. Guests from across the country would travel by train to experience the wonder of flight, and this gave the pair a bigger budget to work with. So, in 1905, the old mill ride, River Caves, opened, originally named River Caves of the World, and this was manufactured by Lot Morgan for the Pleasure Beach. Originally, the facade featured an interpretation of Niagara Falls, and many scenes that feature today were not in the ride. In 1907, the first wooden coaster opened, known as the Scenic Railway. During the same year, the park began to operate under the name it does today. In 1909, Bean wanted to expand and so bought a park in Morecambe, known as Frontierland until its closure on November 7, 1999. Then 4 years later, based on the success of Frontierland, he opened Pleasureland Southport, which housed Traumatizer, now known as Infusion, until 2006 when the park went into new ownership. During this period of Bean's park empire expansion, the park had made other investments, such as the Velvet Coaster, which opened in 1909 and closed in 1920, making way for another Woody roller coaster, House of Nonsense, Joy Wheel, and then the Whip. Althwaite died in 1911, but due to his contributions to the park's development, the family still received shares and had input into the growth of the park. After the Second World War, previous investment ceased due to the issues with importing American rides and international financial crises. However, in 1922, investments resumed with the Virginia Reel, which was a spinning tub coaster that zigzagged down a track, which closed in 1982, and Noah's Ark, a fun house built in the years between 1919 and 1936. Though investments ran low, tourists still flooded to the park, meaning the park grew to be the most prolific employer in the north and still employs hundreds today. In the 1920s, Bean invested in the Art Deco building known as the Casino Building, which featured a billiard hall, cinema, restaurant and shop, but now the building is used for functions, the ticket centre and the White Tower restaurant. It was designed by Joseph Emberton, whose work features at the park in various ride stations. In 1923, land on the seafront was reclaimed and so the park was moved along the promenade to its current location. In the same year, John Miller was commissioned to build the Big Dipper, designed by William Strickler and trains by Philadelphia Toboggan Coasters, and will be an out-and-back coaster costing £25,000, with the station designed by Joseph Emberton. William Bean then died of pneumonia in 1923, and the park was left to his only daughter, Lillian Doris Bean. She then went on to marry Leonard Thompson, the patriarch of the Thompson management legacy, in 1928. Despite living in London where Thompson worked, they moved to Blackpool upon Bean's death, and under the terms of Lillian, Leonard would become the manager of the park. He appointed Oscar Howarth as general manager and George Palmer as chairman of the company. He also worked alongside the Outhwaite family over the following 2 years. Thompson then opened the Ghost Train in 1930, a one-storey pretzel ride, which was called the Pretzel Ride until a year after opening, when it was renamed based on the Arnold Ridley play under the same name. The best years, 1931 to 2004. In 1931, the Outhwaite family sold their share of the park to the Thompsons, meaning they had full land and company ownership. The following year, the Watson Road was built alongside the park, leading to the closure of the Velvet Coaster. The next major investment was the Funhouse in 1934, which burnt down in 1991, and Grand National, a Mobius loop wooden coaster designed by Charles Page in 1935, and with the station design by Joseph Emberton. Page had designed other coasters at the park, such as Roller Coaster, which was built on the same lot as Velvet Coaster in 1933 and even featured some of the trains in its station. The success of Page at the park led to the expansion of the Big Dipper in 1936, where it gained an arch near where Burger King is now and a few extra hills. During this time, Thompson employed Joseph Emberton, who was tasked with designing the Noah's Ark and Ice Dome, a 2,000-seat ice rink. Emberton worked with the park until his death in 1956, and after this, Jack Ratcliffe continued his work. Also in 1935, Emberton made the Ghost Train a 2-storey attraction as it is today. Investments decreased in World War II, though the park remained open for public morale, but the park steadily returned in the years of 1958 to 1961, when Wild Mouse, Derby Racer, the Carousel, and the Alice in Wonderland ride opened. In 1957, the Ghost Train was relocated by Jack Ratcliffe in order to make way for the Wild Mouse, which would be demolished in 2018 after going into standing but not operating in the year prior. Walt Disney had visited the park earlier in the decade too, for inspiration for the Anaheim, California park. Disney and Thompson formed a bond and frequently shared ideas for park development. This has led to many park fans assuming that the Alice in Wonderland ride was a gift from Walt to Blackpool for their help in the founding ideas of the parks. The longest log flume, now replaced by Infusion, opened in 1967, with the Gold Mine, replaced by Wallace and Gromit's Thrill-O-Matic, opening 4 years later. Although, after many successful years of running the park, Leonard passed away in 1966, after being manager for 47 years. Lillian was then appointed chairman following his death, and their son, Geoffrey Thompson, inherited his father's role as managing director of the park. Geoffrey was born in 1936. He worked as head of catering at the casino building and married Barbara Thompson in 1962, and they had 3 children, Fiona, Amanda, and Nick. The last 2 currently manage the park. Geoffrey hired Ingham to make significant alterations to the casino building and had it reopened as a Wonderful World building, though it has since returned to its original name. The new manager's reign saw the opening of Steeplechase, which was notably opened by Redrum in 1977. Avalanche, the UK's first bobsled coaster by Mack Rides, and this opened in 1988, and Revolution by Arrow Development and opened in 1979, alongside Ice Blast, which opened in 1997. His most notable investments were the Big One, which opened in 1994 as the tallest, standing at 213 feet in track length, 213 feet above sea level, and the steepest, with a 75-degree incline coaster in the world, and was manufactured by Arrow Development. Then it was Valhalla, which was built on the lot of the Funhouse and opened in 2000 under the manufacturer of Intamin alongside the Norse mythology theme. Valhalla went on to win near consecutive Dark Ride awards, and the Big One remains to be one of the most iconic coasters in the UK. Geoffrey was involved in improving northern tourism, and so became the first company in the UK to share 10% of profit exceeding £10 million amongst permanent staff members. Thompson closed Frontierland in 2000 due to declining guests and his many disputes with the local council when he tried to expand the park, which ultimately led to its downfall after 91 years of operation. Other investments include Spin Doctor 2002, the Big Blue Hotel 2003, and Bling, which was replaced by Skyforce. He then died of a heart attack at the park on June 12, 2004, while attending his daughter's wedding party. Lillian Thompson died 9 days later, around the date of her son Jeffrey's funeral. Current years, 2004 to present. Amanda Thompson, the eldest daughter, took over the business and remains as a managing director to this day. Nick then became the deputy to his sister, and Fiona, an architect, became a senior company director. Amanda was noticed for her work as founder of the Stageworks Worldwide Productions, which had produced shows for both the park and also internationally. Amanda, similar to her predecessors, was awarded an OBE for her contributions. In her reign, the following rides had been removed: The Whip, Space Invader, Turtle Chase to make way for Icon, Spin Doctor, Trauma Towers, Noah's Ark, but the facade still remains at the entrance however, Bling, and Wild Mouse. In 2006, the family closed Pleasureland Southport, and the closure coincided with the removal of the log flume in order to clear space for Traumatizer, which would be renamed Infusion and become the first coaster to be suspended fully over water. In 2010, the Thompsons signed a contract with Viacom, the company that owns Nickelodeon, to open the 4-acre family park in the following season. The replacement of Beaver Creek would cost £10 million and feature 12 rides alongside a shop, restaurants and character meet and greets, with some attractions being repurposed from the previous area. To fit with branding, roller coaster was renamed as Nickelodeon Streak and painted orange from white, and Zipper Dipper was renamed Blue Flyer and painted blue. Then, after agreement in 2013 with Aardman, the Goldmine ride would close to make way for a dark ride following the same layout based on the popular Wallace and Gromit franchise and would be named Wallace and Gromit's Thrill-O-Matic. The ride features a shop beside it, and due to the ride following the same layout, the blue grotto scene of the river caves had to be reworked so the large stalactites would no longer be there. Then in 2015, the RAF teamed up with the park to bring Red Arrow's Skyforce, a ride where guests control how much their seat turns upside down using the movable wings at either side of them. In 2018, Icon would open, costing $16.25 million, and was the UK's first multi-launch coaster, manufactured by Mack Rides, Germany. The ride has its own shop, and the ride features a 0G roll, 2 linear synchronous motors, a junior Immelman loop, a top hat, and many twists and turns through the park. In 2019, following the park's ever-increasing popularity, they built the Boulevard Hotel. The park's answer to guests wanting a more luxurious, exclusive and adult place to stay. The hotel was built on the lot where the Star Pub had been, and features over 120 rooms, 10 suites, and has a restaurant, bar and function or conference rooms. Entertainment and other attractions. Hot Ice debuted in 1936 and is produced by Amanda Thompson and choreographed by figure skater Ulla Jaskalainen. Productions include Hot Ice Utopian 2019 and Euphoria 2021 and Hot Ice Rapture 2022. The show features sensual dancing on ice accompanied by a mainly in-house soundtrack and dazzling costumes. Ken Webster, Mentalist Hypnotist, is an adult comedy that is performed in the autumn season usually. It's the longest running comedy hypnosis show that has played for over 25 years. Each year it wins the hearts of the British audience that it performs for and pleases critics alike. The Adventure Golf opened in 2008, replacing the previously situated Flagstaff Gardens. Passage del Terror, a world-renowned horror attraction company which often operates in European theme parks, is located near the main Noah's Ark entrance and opened in 1998 and has been known and awarded for its excellent frights. The Arena and Globe house shows such as Hot Ice and Circus of Horrors, both of which run every season. Now, when you visit the park among the hundreds of thousands that do each year, you can point out little details that not many may know, and be educated on the decorated history of the park. In 2021, it celebrated 125 years of operation, and now you know every year of that history. For the wonderful sources of this information, I bring you Blackpool Pleasure Beach publications, including its education and history packets, Wikipedia, and my previous videos. The park truly is serious about your fun.